Hello everyone, today I wanted to just very briefly have a little chat about Dead by Boycott, which is something that I've been asked about a couple of times on stream. Rather than answering it like 20 different times and being asked about it every single time I stream, I thought I'd just make a quick video, just telling you what I think about it. I've purposefully not watched anyone else's video on this. I know that Scott John did a video on this, and I've seen a few others do one as well. Haven't watched their videos. If I'm just saying the exact same things that they said, sorry for wasting your time. I'm hoping that I have a kind of unique approach to it. Maybe not. Let's find out together, shall we? So, the whole idea behind Dead by Boycott, for those of you that don't know, is basically to try and hold behavior to account. I've been an ardent criticizer of behavior. I've complained about them. I've suggested they should sell the game to a team that will actually care about its quality. I've said a lot of probably unnecessarily mean stuff, but it is kind of how I feel about the game, and I do think the game is in a really bad state right now, and I do feel like every single month it somehow gets worse and worse and worse. That's a topic for another video. I kind of addressed that in my DVD Iceberg Explained video, so go check that out if you haven't seen that already. The whole idea behind Dead by Boycott is to try and hit behavior where it really hurts, that being their wallets. So rather than just not playing the game at all, people are suggesting that we just don't spend our Auric cells. Still play the game, but don't buy new Auric cells, don't buy new DLCs, don't buy any characters, don't buy anything, and just try and hit them. This doesn't make any sense to me. Dead by Daylight is reaching record player numbers right now, just absolute peak player numbers. The problem with this idea of boycotting it is that unless you have a significant portion, and I'm talking over 50% of those players, not only be aware of the boycott, but be aware of the issues with Dead by Daylight enough to actually bother going through with it, then you might make an impact. But from what I've seen, it's maybe at most a few thousand people, and that might seem like a lot, but it's really not. If every single person who watches Otzdava's live stream were to boycott the store, it still wouldn't have that much of an impact, because that is a drop in the ocean compared to every other player of the game, which is where the majority of their income is coming from. Now, to relate this back to something a little bit, maybe more of a personal anecdote, when I released my game Brawl Quest, the sales are poor, were poor, continue to be poor. Whatever, we don't have the marketing budget, we haven't marketed it properly, the game also needs some work, but in any case, one of the things that a few people around me said to me was, well, you haven't really shared it on Facebook or Twitter. And the thing is, that's not enough. In order to impact companies properly, everyone needs to do a thing at the exact same time. In our case, we needed maybe 1,000 sales a month to really keep the lights on and keep that as our main focus for the business. Me sharing that on Facebook or Twitter, or even making a video promoting the game, wouldn't have had that impact. You need to affect the market in a realistic way. Now, this is kind of unrelated because yes, making a video about it, talking about a thing, attempting a thing is better than just not doing anything at all. I was on a roll there in Java Update, just did a notification, sorry about that. But the impact is going to be so minuscule, even if 100% of the people who say they're going to do a thing, do the thing. Even if, say, 10,000 of us stop playing the game altogether, well, there's another 95,000 daily players. Behavior aren't going to care about 10,000 of us leaving. They probably gain more than that in a week. So this is a short video, but that's kind of my thoughts on it. This thing won't gain enough momentum. And let's contrast this to what's currently happening, or what's just happened with Apex Legends. Someone has hacked Apex Legends to make it so that if you're in a certain lobby, all of your playlists are replaced with a message saying savetitanfall.com, which is a link to a website basically explaining that Titanfall is full of hackers. The original Titanfall, that is, not Titanfall 2, although Titanfall 2 does also have a hacker problem. Full of hackers. Respawn or EA or whoever aren't making any effort to improve that situation, to fix that situation, and as a result, the game is basically dead, and yet they're still charging $60 for it on EA's website. That's effective. You're completely blocking off a community's ability to play the game in order to give rise to your message. I'm not saying that's a good idea, right? That's not a good idea. All the EA are going to do are even more going to ignore the problem because they can't be seen giving into that kind of thing. It's kind of like video game terrorism, although that's a bit of an extreme comparison to draw. You affect a company's income and profits that directly, then they're gonna fix the problem. But they didn't fix the problem with Titanfall, they just fixed the exploit that allowed the hack to happen, so the hack wouldn't happen anymore, and they're not gonna fix Titanfall. Now, I don't condone that at all. I think that was an extremely stupid thing to do, because now it's in EA's best interest to just leave Titanfall as it is. But previous to this hack happening, the Titanfall and Apex and Titanfall 2 community were already up in arms about how terrible Titanfall 1 is right now because it's so overrun with hackers. The fact that EA is still selling it at full price and just nothing is being done to improve the situation. That is akin to Dead by Boycott, except there are more people involved in the Save Titanfall 1 thing than there are in the Dead by Boycott thing, and EA still aren't doing anything about it. And EA have thousands of developers. They have essentially infinite resources to fix these things, and they're not doing it. Behavior are not going to be impacted by Dead by Boycott. Even if 10,000, even if 20,000, you'd need maybe 50,000 to 60,000 people in order to have any sort of significant impact. And then you have to rely on the majority of those people actually following through with what they say, which, let's be honest, they're not going to. And even then, you've got a flurry of new players coming in, spending money on things like the Resident Evil DLC. And even then, the game itself is not really being affected. The only way to have an effective boycott is to actually stop the game altogether. Just stop playing the game. But people don't want to do that, obviously. And that is the only way to actually have an impact. And again, you'd still need 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 people to do it to have any sort of significant impact. So those are my thoughts on Dead by Boycott. Stop asking me now. I support the idea behind it, but I just think there needs to be a better method for getting the word out there, and perhaps a better method of actually boycotting it in order to have any sort of impact. Because right now, we're just not going to see anything. Okay, that's my little rant about Dead by Boycott. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.